Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Emily. I'm a mom who loves home decor, thrifting, and a good DIY project. I am so excited because today I am doing a DIY dollar store Christmas decor video, and this is a collab with Drew from Lone Fox. I absolutely love Drew. We started following each other on social media, I don't even know, maybe a year ago. It's been a while. I have absolutely loved following him. If you guys don't know Drew, he has a channel on YouTube called Lone Fox. He makes content all about DIY project, thrifted upcycles, the most amazing room makeover transformations. He is packed full of creativity. Everything he does is done with excellence. I am endlessly inspired by him. He is doing the exact same video I'm doing today. He will also be going to his dollar store, seeing what he can kind of make over and DIY. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you go check out his. Let him know that I sent you. And if it's your first time here from his channel, hi, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Before we jump into things, if you're not already, feel free to follow me on Instagram at EmilyFaith22. Okay, let's get started with these dollar store Christmas DIYs. I have 5 projects for you. For project number 1, we will be doing some yarn wrapped Christmas trees. I grabbed these 2 kind of cone Christmas trees. They had quite a few different kinds of these. Maybe you guys have seen them. And we are going to completely transform these and do a yarn wrapped Christmas tree. For this project, you are going to need a hot glue gun, and something that I couldn't find at the dollar store is really chunky yarn. So I did find this very skinny yarn. So I actually have some scrap yarn, and I want to use like different variations. I think it's going to give some texture. Basically, we're going to hot glue the bottom part and wrap it all the way up. I love that this project is so easy. Glue on the bottom. Now we are going to begin wrapping. As we wrap, you may want to do a few beads of hot glue just so that you know it's not going to separate. This is what it's looking like, which I'm actually super happy with it. But to just give it a little bit more fun texture, I think I'm gonna go around with this other yarn that I have. We're going to go in with this really thin yarn. Project number 2 is this DIY chalkboard advent calendar. For this advent calendar, I am going to use this weekly planner board that I picked up. I really loved this light wood frame. I thought it was such a nice wood color, and this seemed easy enough to paint over. We'll also need some wood clothespins. If you can't find these, you can definitely just tie string instead. You don't have to use these. We're also going to need some chalkboard paint. You don't have to use black. This is just one I've had on hand. This is actually from the dollar store as well. We'll also need some twine and a paintbrush. First thing we are going to do is flip this over and take out the board inside. Now that that's out, we are going to paint it with our chalkboard paint. It's dry, and I'm going to add a second coat. I'm going to go in with one last coat just for any little spots of white peeking through. I made this on the computer and printed it out on some cardstock. Now I'm going to cut these up into their little squares. Next, what we're gonna do is use our twine and create enough rows for our numbers. I'm doing 4 numbers across. I do have them all set up over here in a little grid. But what I'm gonna do is simply string over the front and then tape it on the back. And then we'll put the frame back on it. For the next project, we are going to be making a star garland. Now this is probably the easiest project of the bunch. I'm also a huge sucker for kind of minimalist Nordic style Christmas decor, so this kind of checked all those boxes for me. So let me show you how to make this little star garland. I picked up this pack of wood shapes. I actually got 2 of these, and I'm only going to be using these stars. I'm sure I can save the rest for future DIYs, or my son can use them for crafting. You're also going to need some string and a drill. We have our stars. I don't think I'm gonna need all of these. I think I only needed 1 packet, but we have our stars. I have a drill. I'm using 1/8 of an inch of drill bit. I'm going to be drilling 2 holes on either side of the star. That way, when I hang it, it won't hang sideways, but it'll hang flat. I'm going to be using a box to just drill on top of. That way I can put pressure, and I'm not really measuring, I'm just guesstimating. Next, I'm going to take this thin yarn, and I taped off the end so that it would be a little bit of a harder point to work with. And now I'm simply going to string it through from the front and have the line be at the back. We're gonna just repeat this for all the stars. I also wanted to mention that, of course, you guys can paint these, you can add sparkles to them. You honestly, they're a blank canvas, you could do whatever you want. I just prefer the natural wood look. There are many options if you are a big fan of more vibrant colors and sparkles and things like that. For the next project, we are going to be making some stocking ornaments. I don't actually know what to call it. Basically, we are going to be making some clay ornaments that will attach to your stocking that will be monogrammed, so you can put your initial on them, or you can spell out a word, whatever you want. To make these stocking ornaments, you are going to need some air dry clay. You're also going to need some twine or string, a round cookie cutter. I have these in different sizes. If you don't have a round cookie cutter, you can actually just use a round glass. That will work as well. You will also be needing some parchment paper and wood beads. Have our air dry clay, and I laid down a piece of parchment paper. I'm going to take this little mini roller and start to roll it out. Once you have it to your desired thickness, I'm really just going to be working in the middle. I'm going to take my cookie cutter and cut some circles. Once you have your circles cut, I am going to make 4 total. You can use a straw and poke a hole in them where you will be hanging it. Now we're going to use these stencils that I grabbed from the dollar store, and we are going to stencil our first name initial onto the ornament. Our family initials are super close to actually spelling the word Noel. We're just one letter off, so basically I'm not going to use my husband's initial. It would be an S. I'm going to use an L. It's cute that it would say Noel instead of nose. So sorry, Stefan, but we're going with an L. Have my ornaments. Truthfully, they are not fully dry. I think they take up to like 48 hours to dry, but I'm a little bit on a time crunch. I was almost able to carve into it a little bit as well, which I think is pretty cool. I'm just putting my stencil right on top to the letter that I want. Is going to be L. Try and line it up in the center. Then I'm going to use a pen and kind of trace around it. Once you have it traced, you can go in with paint or permanent marker. Before we move on to the next step, I did want to share that I actually did this project one other time, and I painted the clay and also used a different stencil. This is how they looked, but I ended up losing that footage and it wasn't fully the vibe that I was going for. So I decided to make them again, use a different stencil, and keep the natural clay. You guys can decide what you want to do. Any stencil you find, you can paint these. Pretty much your options are endless. Now we are going to take some wood beads. You can get these at a lot of craft stores. I actually got some of these from a party dollar store nearby, but I realized they're not at most dollar stores. We're gonna take our twine, put it through the hole. Once we have it looped through like that, we are going to cut. Going to string through the bead, and I'm holding the two cords together and pushing it through. If you have trouble getting it through, I usually tape the ends of my rope or whatever I'm using, and that really helps. I think I'm going to stick with the 3 wood beads. Now I am going to tie a knot. And then you are going to tie a loop at the top. Just cut off your excess cord. Now you can repeat this process for the other ornaments. Next project, we are going to be making some Pinecone gnome ornaments. This is kind of a bonus project because I actually had all of these things on hand. I didn't have to buy anything, but I am like 99% sure that you can find everything for this project at the dollar store. Make these Pinecone gnomes, you're going to need pine cones. These are from the dollar store. They come in a pack, and obviously if you live in an area with pine cones outside, I do, you can just go grab some pine cones from outside. Now you're also going to need some pom-poms. I had these on hand, but they are very small. So you could also use some wood beads as well. Anything that's, I guess, a round circle will work. Then you're going to need some fabric. I had this scrap fabric, but felt will work really, really well, and I know they sell felt at the dollar store. And then scissors and hot glue. First thing you're going to do is take one of your pine cones and kind of wrap it around the bottom of the pine cone. This is where the little gnome hat is going to go, and this is kind of like the beard. I'm just gonna use a pen. Then you can kind of cut a triangular shape. Have my triangle, you're going to take a little scrap piece of yarn or string or whatever you have and hot glue it to the point of the hat. Now we are going to hot glue right down the side of it. Once that's dry, you can trim the bottom so that it's straight if yours looks like mine. If your hat is feeling too tall, you can also trim it a little shorter. I think I want to trim this one a little shorter. Lastly, I am going to hot glue my little pom-pom for the nose. can repeat this process for the other ones, but I wanted to show you one other thing you can do. This is some very thin yarn from the dollar store. You're going to wrap it around your fingers. Use an extra piece of yarn to tie it down the middle. If you use bigger pine cones, then you can definitely have it be bigger than this here. Once you have it tied down the middle, you're going to cut your little ends. You should end up with something that looks like this when they're all cut. It's kind of hard to do because it's so small, but basically this is going to be a beard. That is everything! I hope you enjoyed today's video. Now you guys have to go over to Lone Fox and check out all of Drew's videos. I'm so excited to see what he comes up with. He always has the most amazing creative ideas. I know it's going to be good. Comment down below which DIY was your favorite. If you liked today's video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. As always, you can subscribe for more of my everyday life. Follow me on Instagram at EmilyFace22. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye!